What's happening, guys? My name is Anthony, and in today's video we are finally doing league racing content on the channel. This is WOR season 11 on the PC, and this is round 1, of course, here at Bahrain. So if you're excited to see some league racing content from me, and it's going to be coming regularly, guys, we're going to be streaming it, we're going to be making videos as well. Make sure to smash that like button and let me know that you're ready for this league racing season. So as we're coming up to our first lap now, coming into this, I had a couple of hours of practice in total. I'm going to be practicing a lot more for WOR than I am for my other league, which is MRL, just due to time. So I'm hoping to get most of my race practice in through WOR, and coming into this, my PB was a 24.8. I definitely bottled a couple of 24.7s, so I knew I could do those. However, I wasn't really expecting to come into this and get pole, because I was speaking to my teammate Octez, and he was saying that he believes that pole was probably going to be a 24.5 or a 24.6, which pole did end up being a 24.5, I'm pretty sure. But as we cross the line, we do a 25.2 for our banker lap, which was absolutely terrible. I believe our quickest banker lap that we had done in practice was a 24.9. So yeah, there was definitely some time in that. You can see on our second lap we are finding that time, but as we come up to the end of sector 2 now, you can see we go purple, but then we get blocked, and that was very frustrating. Not sure what happened there. They clearly saw me coming, but I'm assuming they maybe thought I was on an out lap or something like that. And as we do our final lap, we ended up invalidating going through turn 2. So very frustrating. Literally the start that we didn't want to happen has happened. We're going to be starting towards the back. I knew that I could get within the top 5, even the top 3 here going into qualifying, so to be starting in P15, very frustrating. But as we take a look at the formation lap, let's see what our race strategy is going to be. We're going to be doing a hard to medium strategy since we're starting towards the back. So as we've got 3, 4, 5 red lights, and lights out, and away we go. And most of the people around us are starting on the medium compounded tires, so I wasn't expecting to get the best start in the world. I was looking ahead to BGR Kevin, because he's also on the hard compounded tires, so I was sort of looking to see what his pace was going to be like, how his start was going to be like, and just sort of compare myself roughly to what he's doing since we're on the same compounded tires. But you can see there's yellow flags behind us. This is the first race of the season. Not a lot of people have done practice. We're also coming into this with quite a lot of nerves as well, so you are going to see some spins, you are going to see some crashes, and that's just how it is with the first season, with the first race of a season. So as we come up to the end of sector 1 now, just looking to see if there's any extra positions I can maybe sneakily get. We did look for the move there, but I did see Tax move just slightly, so I think he was also looking for the move as well. I didn't really want to cause any collisions, so I decided to just back out of it. And then coming up to turn 10 now, you can see we ended up locking up the rear tires, and yeah, I actually had to change my front brake bias, which was kind of weird to me at the time, because I didn't really change any of my settings from practice, and I wasn't locking up going into turn 10 in practice, but yet the rear was locking up during the actual race. So I'm not sure if that was maybe the hard compounded tires at work there. I didn't really manage to get a lot of practice with the hard compounded tires. My main practice was doing the soft 2 hards. So I was mainly focused on how the hard tires felt towards the end of the race rather than the beginning when I've got a lot of fuel in the car. So yeah, this was a little bit more of a new territory for me, and I just had to try and get used to the car quickly. But as we come up to the end of the lap now, you can see that Tax did make Kevin make a mistake, and looking for something here, you can see we're about to go 3 wide, and I decided to just back out of it because it's lap 2. We've got 29 laps here. We don't necessarily need to be going 3 wide on the second lap, so I let those 2 go, and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm following Kevin as closely as I can, because I am on the same compound of tire as him. So at this moment of time, he's the main person that I'm racing against. And yeah, I was definitely looking forward to this race. I was hoping, as I said earlier, to have a better qualifying session. So the fact that we didn't means that we are starting a position where we're going to have to make up a lot of positions over this race if we do want to make something out of this and have at least a decent comeback drive. As we move on to the end of lap 3, the beginning of lap 4 now, you can see we didn't have the best of exits going off at the final corner. So the guy behind us, Daniel, on the mediums, he is going to pass us, so I decided to just let him go. And as we come up to the turn 2 and turn 3 now. No, what? Ah, the curbs on this game. Yeah, so that ended up happening, which was very frustrating. I've never spun at that corner before. I've never spun at it since. It was just a very weird spin, and it just felt so unnatural as it was happening. And as I'm looking back on it now, as I'm recording this video, it still just looks unnatural to me. I mean, I'm guessing it is a little bit more realistic. I did get some opinions from people on my Clips channel and also from Twitter as well, and they do believe that yeah, it is realistic considering I am going at a high speed over the corner and the downforce can be lost in that section. However, at the time, it just felt so unnatural just the way that I spun, because my car was already pointing straight. I was already at full throttle. I'm not really sure why that ended up happening, but either way, you can see that we ended up being so far behind everybody else. So we had to have a serious comeback drive there, and you can actually see my teammate has DNF. So we've not had a good start for the Williams team going into this season. I do want to be battling for the championship this season in WOR. I do want to be battling for the constructors and have those sort of battles, so not the best start in that regards. But moving on to what I was actually saying before, yeah, we're gonna have to have a very good comeback drive here, and we're gonna have to hope for a safety car at this point because we were so far behind. But as we move on to lap 8 now, you can see some of the guys who were on the soft compound tires, they've now pit. We've got Scars behind me. He's got a 5-second time penalty because he spent in the pit lane. However, he's not really going to be much of a threat in terms of our own race because he started towards the front, so he's going to be so far ahead of us. So that 5 seconds really doesn't mean anything to me, probably just means more to the people who he's actually racing against at this time. And the hard compounded tires, they're still going pretty strong, to be honest. Obviously it's only lap 8, so obviously this is where the hard compounds are really starting to come into their own. So this is basically my hammer time. I've really got to start pushing, start trying to extract everything I can out of these tires, and starting to use my ERS a little bit more as well. My ERS management on this game has been pretty good in my opinion. I feel as if I've gotten a lot better over the past couple of months with my ERS management, and then moving on to this game, I feel as if it's gotten a little bit better as well. You can see that Scars is ahead of me now, and he's already ran out of ERS, so he's been pushing a lot with that ERS, whereas we haven't. And that allows us to make an easy move here. We're just really doing a DRS swap essentially with this. I'm just trying to push as much as I can so that when I go into the pits I can be as close to the back of the pack as I possibly can, because that is where I'm going to be. And obviously with Scars, he also benefits from this as well because he's got that 5-second time penalty, which means the quicker he is genuinely, then obviously the more time he's going to make up, and that 5 seconds might not mean as much come the end of this race. So as we move on now to the end of lap 15, this is my time to go into the pits. I was thinking about doing whatever Kevin didn't do, and though you guys can't see it because my face cam is blocking, Kevin didn't actually pit, so I decided to go for the pit and try and just get as much of an undercut as I possibly can here. So it's been a very decent stint on the hard tires. Obviously we had that spin on lap 4, but ever since then I've been pushing, trying to extract as much as I can out of those tires, just as much as I can out of the car and the ERS and everything. And I feel as if it wasn't for that spin, we would have been in a very decent position coming onto these medium compounded tires, because it was a pretty decent stint. We were very consistent with our times. And then moving on to lap 18 now, really and truly at this point we're just trying to catch up to Ash. You can see Daniel has just overtaken him, and I think at this point Ash is about 6 seconds ahead of us. So we're just pushing and trying to make sure that we're just slowly eating at that time. You can see that Kevin has gone into the pits now. He actually went on the soft compound tires, so at that point there was no point in even trying to fight with him because he was going to be so quick on those. I was mainly just focused on catching up to Ash. And then moving on to lap 25 now, we ended up catching him up because God sent us an absolute gift. Ash ended up having a little bit of a moment on lap 25, which allowed us to get right on his gearbox, which means we are now fighting for P10, which, to be honest, if you would have said that I was fighting for P10 at the beginning just after I span and I was like 10 seconds behind the penultimate person, I would have been laughing at you. But we've somehow managed to do it even without a safety car, and that's the part that really surprised me, the fact that there wasn't actually any safety cars. There wasn't a safety car, there wasn't even a virtual safety car, and we've still managed to, you know, just keep the car on the road, and now we're fighting for P10, which is the reason why you never really want to actually leave a league race if you spin and there's still an opportunity to grab something, because you never know what's going to happen in a league race. And if I had left towards the beginning, then I wouldn't have had this opportunity to fight for this point, which to be honest, at this point I would take P10. So as we make the move on Ash now, you can see he's defending for it pretty hard, but you guys know probably if you watched my previous pre-season video at Bahrain, I am very good when it comes to defending and attacking here at Bahrain. So I was very confident, considering that I was on the mediums and he was on old hards, that we were going to be able to pass him. You can see we make a little bit of contact here as he squeezes me out wide, which is perfectly fine on his part, but I'm just keeping so much more minimum speed going through the corners that he's just not able to shake me off, and because of that we end up finally making the move going off of turn 8. I believe that's turn 8. I'm not sure if that's turn 8 or turn 7. My numbers when it comes to turns and corners on tracks are terrible, but either way, I guess it doesn't really matter at this point. But coming off of turn 10, I know that's turn 10, we didn't really get the best of exits, so since he has DRS, he was definitely going to go for the move. I decided to brake a little bit early and go for the switchback because I knew that was going to work. I knew he was going to brake a little bit deep to try and brake as late as possible to keep me out, so that was a pretty easy move on that part. And right now all I need to do is really just stay ahead of him, or I could do what I did here, which is let him go and just stay behind him, because we've only got a couple of laps left and I need to save my ERS so that I can actually attack him going on to the final couple of laps, because you may notice his red light isn't flashing, so he's not got below 10%, which means he has been saving his ERS as well. So I don't actually know how much ERS he has, so I really need to make sure that I have as much as I can so that I can attack him with the maximum amount of speed possible going on to these final couple of laps, because it's crunch time now. We really need to focus on trying to pull a gap from him, or at least keep the position from him as much as we can. And we had a pretty decent battle there. It was a really fun battle to have, especially considering where we were towards the beginning of the race, and then coming off of turn 10. Again, not the best of exits, however it doesn't seem as if he got a good exit either, because he's not really making up any time here on this DRS section. And at this point now, I know that I've got the softer compounded tyres, which means we've got that grip coming off of exits. So I know we're roughly around about 40% tyre wear, which you're about to see right now. However, we've still got that superior grip compared to Ash. So as long as I'm taking advantage of the sections of the track where there isn't any DRS, so for example sector 2 mainly, and obviously the ending sector 3 here, then we're going to make up that gap going off of the final corner, which is exactly what I'm looking for here. You want to make sure that you're having the best exit off of there, because that's the best opportunity that someone will have to overtake you. And as we come up to the final couple of corners now on the final lap of our first race, we've managed to actually gain enough of a gap from Ash that we don't have to worry about him jeopardizing our position. You can see that Guiza, I probably just completely butchered that name, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but he ended up winning the first race, and we end up coming in P10 after we spun on lap 4, after we invalidated our final lap, and after we got blocked on our second lap. So honestly, after those things working against me, I would take a P10, especially since there wasn't a safety car, there wasn't even a virtual safety car as well. Most chances are in those situations your race is done, you're not really going to be able to do anything. However, we kept at it, we were consistent with our pace, and we just kept the car on the road after that spin, and we managed to gain P10 from it. So again guys, if you are coming into this is your first league racing season, don't rage quit whenever something bad happens, unless you end up having to forcibly retire, because you never know what can happen in league racing. And based on this video here, I hope that it shows you that, because usually in those situations you would never get a point. However, we stuck to it and we managed to get a point, so at least we've done that. So I hope you guys did enjoy this league racing video. If you did, subscribe to the channel, make sure to stick around if you want to see my team content as well, and also my tutorials that will be coming later this week as well. And I hope to see you guys in my next video.